Mr. Jerome Minlend, we're really honored to have you here. And please, would you share with the public about who you are and a little bit about yourself and your journey? Thank you.
Thank you. I'll start with Bassa, if you don't mind. Mayega long Bassa also toheni the Kobe beside the Kobe Akberban Yega Behna beside. I'm Jerome Minlend, Bassa people, of course. I'm CEO of different companies in Africa and Cameroon in particular. I've been senior partner of Ernst & Young worldwide in Paris for 15 years and went back because I think Cameroon needed me. Now I'm both in Cameroon and I think anywhere I'm needed, especially for the Bassa people culture. I'm leading Mbog Liaa worldwide.
Bon, tonton Crepin, nous allons aller à conférence. Quand les bien,
we're moving to DC now. So the member of the panel from DC is going to be the next one to speak. So if you guys can get online, thank you.
Papa Crepin, Liaa.
Bon, même Mahop, Mambreke, Mbeke Longan Basse Baruga, Luan Longan, Urabata, Matabaki, Lubon, Luweb, Halayone, Informase, Domini, Mantra West, Alec Nongange, and Mbog. Enyu bongle Bassa bakonde or yina iba nderi yina hala la hekpek nyu taki la ma bong yu bongle be ba de bunan long ni wala be long be benge GTB jo mo longe enyu ning la te sep or iba enyu hola ba de yega Mbai mes e Cameroon yomi me sengandak John me ma se iba na le president yega be.
Oui, moi c'est Ferdinand Mayega, je suis à Paris, je suis journaliste, je m'intéresse aussi beaucoup au sujet de la diaspora, donc c'est un plaisir d'être là. I would like to thank the organizer of this meeting, of this roundtable today, because I think that diaspora is the cornerstone of development of our country, and it is a great pleasure, a real pleasure to me to participate to this roundtable today. I want especially to thank the President, Alain Nonga, who is working harder to help the Bassa Bobati family in California to do their job for the local development of our area in Cameroon. Thank you very much. My name is.
Thank you so much, Ferdinand, for not only being here and sharing with us your idea about culture and how culture can be used or leveraged, right, for development and to understand more who we are. So we're moving to the third segment of our program today, which is that each member of the participants will actually have a time to talk about the topic of today, which I remind you is how we can use culture to first understand who we are, but also to effectively participate in enhancing our communities and the development of our nation. So I go back again to our president of Mbog Liaa, Mr. Jerome Minlend.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we should first make a history of Bassa people. We coming from Egypt 3,000 years ago, and from Egypt we just went downward through Africa. There are Bassa people in the West Africa region, Liberia, Ivory Coast, Benin, and then in Cameroon, where we coming from, and then up to South Africa. So it's a long history of migration. But as far as we're concerned, we settled 9 centuries ago in a place called Mbog. There is a history about that. Our great-grandfather went from Mbog and spread in most part of Cameroon. So if you want to really understand who the Bassa people are, you should understand in brief that it's not just geographical position. We have a spiritual position which makes that wherever we are in this world, we share the same feelings, we share the same philosophy, we share all which is common to a tribe like us.
Okay, thank you so much for your historical, participation. And now, please, Kodia, would you introduce our next participant?
Yes, Dr. Crepin.
That is, the Bassa people is, of course, a great people, especially in Cameroon, where we number about 500,000 people, between 400,000 and 700,000. The actual number is not well known. We also have a very important group outside the diaspora, but that number is not really well known. In fact, it's going to be a good task, an important task, to try to see how many we are abroad. That is not only abroad in Africa, coming from Cameroon, but in Europe, in North America, and also in Asia. Why not? Because it is important for us to know the resources that we have, which we can now utilize to help improve the people back in Cameroon. But before we do that, I think it's very important that we ourselves, wherever we are, wherever we go, we make sure that we are working to properly integrate the economic system, the political system in the country we are living in. In America, for instance, we have founded an ONG here called Congress, Cameroon Congress of America, the object of which is to help Cameroonians and other people actually coming to the US to properly integrate the system. And that means coming in here legally, getting your papers, and then desiring to know how people in this country live, how democracy goes about, and how one can develop oneself and in fact expand and reach with full potential, which is not always possible. Even back in Cameroon, not always that possible. So one thing that is important for us to do is to definitely get educated on what to do. That is, you must first have a vision of what you want to do, and now get the proper education for achieving it. In this country, unlike other countries in the world, it is possible to achieve professionally any goal you want if you are willing to work for it. This is not the case in countries like France or England, where school is limited. For instance, to become an engineer in France is not easy. I mean, they will leave only a few places, few spots for foreigners, who actually enter through a very competitive examinations, but only a few are taken. But in this country, if you are willing to work hard, I mean, the sky is your limit. You can achieve it, you can do it, And so what we tell our young people who come here is that, listen, tell us what you want to do. We're going to guide you into doing it. Because when you do it, you can then excel, you can succeed and excel, and therefore be able to achieve what you want to do. Now, my main concern, though, as far as the Bassa people is concerned, is that we are limited by what's going on right now. For some reason, we are neglecting to be conversant with our own language. I mean, we don't speak our language even in our houses, where the wife may not be Bassa, or the husband may not be Bassa. And even when they're Bassa, like my own case, we fail to speak our language to our children, which is terrible. Now, note that the language is the vehicle for any emancipation, any growth of any public or any given cultural entity. And according to research, when that language is not extended, taught to the children, it takes only 3 generations for the actual cultural group to disappear formally. I mean, the name will be there, but the language is gone. Therefore, the habits are gone, the traditions are gone. We don't even know what we can base our on, and so we become people without a culture. So getting what we do now is very important to me, and I would like really us to take into account the fact that if we don't do something serious in terms of right now getting the younger people oriented, I mean those who are getting born now or are less than 10 years of age, or even teenagers, getting them to know where we come from, what we speak, which is different from French, from English, from German, from Spanish, from all the languages. If we don't do that, we are not contributing to the growth of our people, and it must be our priority. I know our president, Mbog, Liaa, works very hard on this one, but we have to make it systematic. That is, design, that's what I think, really design a way out of this, so that if you know what to do and you don't do it, well, that's up to you. But if we have in place a procedure, I mean, we can say an algorithm, as we'll say, some engineers people or mathematicians, like a procedure in terms of algorithm, then we can teach our people how to speak their language so that the language will remain active and not extinct. And therefore, the tribe, the group, Bassa people will expand, will grow. That's what I can say for now. And as for the strategy, we can talk about it later. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Crepin. I totally agree that the language is a form of identification. Without any language, we cannot identify ourselves, and we.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it there for now.
Exactly.
It's very important, but just to be sure that we are understood, even in Cameroon, the children, our children, can't speak Bassa anymore. I mean, it's not just a question of the diaspora. Even in our villages, not to talk about our towns, the Bassa can't speak Bassa anymore. So it's really a global concern. We have to seek means to focus on how to preserve this language, knowing that, as it has been said, language is the basic of culture. And culture is about anything. It's about economy, it's about living together. I mean, there are a lot of aspects of our living together which comes from cultural aspects. So I wanted just to stress, and maybe Dr. Mahop will come further on it, that it's not just a question of diaspora, it's a question of all our people speaking or not speaking Bassa in their hometowns or even in their households.
Yeah, so I wanted to actually, since we don't have Ferdinand, have a follow-up with Dr. Mahop about, clearly he had thought about these, questions. Are there some ideas that, he can share with the audience and the public here in terms of, some kind of solutions that he thought about that, we can at least take from here as food for thought?
I mean, this is not new. And even in this area, Washington, D.C., this has come up into a variety of Bassa organizations, and there are quite a few of them. But the Bassa people, one thing we lack greatly is discipline. I mean, we are not disciplined at all. We go into a meeting and agree to do something, but because a proposal came from Mahop and not from Nongange, it will be rejected. It will not be followed. We have a senior member here of our community who actually, he used to be an elementary school teacher for a long, long time, and who offered to teach Bassa to younger people, age, as soon as you can speak, age 5 or 4 to even 16. This began well, but for some reason, parents did not follow through. Now, one strategy is actually to do that. That is, as we endeavor to meet from time to time, usually we meet once a month in some organizations, let us have, in most localities, let us organize classroom teaching for these young people. Now, we can teach them the language, not just formally, but informally, through songs, through activities like our dancing, through even initiating them into cooking, but speaking Bassa and talk about Bassa. Now, in terms of doing it back home, one thing I urge us to do, we are in the diaspora, is not to stay 10 years in America or in Europe without going back home. I mean, now that we have WhatsApp, we can communicate regularly, but it is important to touch base with our people, I mean our villages. And many villages now have associations who communicate through forums on WhatsApp. We can decide to periodically meet for a congress. We call it a congress, where we spend 3 days, and during the 3 days, we can together, lay down strategies of how to make sure that our kids back home in Cameroon speak this language. Now, in many schools in villages, like my village in Sibongo, we can insist that the Bassa language be taught in school. This will be extracurricular, but we can actually pay someone to teach students. We will incite our children to go to school through a variety of ways, and also parents. So I think if we do that, it will be a good start, into attempting to break the that barrier of language, language disappearing. I mean, we will make sure that the generations that now begin at this age do not lose language. In fact, they grow with that language. And for those of us who speak or try to speak Bassa, in our houses, let us speak that language, because when you go out there, you're going to speak French, you're going to speak English, you're going to speak Spanish, you're going to German, no problem. So at home, let us speak that language. If we do that, it will be a good start. And we can then have bigger congress through social like, Bassa and poverty, where it is a theme, a real theme to be developed, during our congresses. And in fact, I will even urge those who are experts, why not to make sure that the right books, textbooks, to initiate our people into the Bassa language. This must be done, I think, it must be done absolutely, if we are to make sure that we reverse the trend. That's what it is, reverse the trend of our language being extinct, and therefore our culture and our people, Bassa people, diminishing progressively to get extinct in about 3 generations, which is about 75 years.
Yes.
Thank you.
Few words about whatever has been taught till now. Here in Europe, as you put it, the channel which is chosen to teach Bassa, it is a church channel. We used to do it at the beginning, 30 years ago, 40 years ago when we came here. But unfortunately, due to what was said, unfortunately, we didn't go ahead teaching our kids Bassa. So it is a quite of a hole we are enduring at the moment. So how to renew this for the future? This is for everybody. Whatever has been saying, to have a Congress where we can set some talks with Bassa and whatever, it is a very good idea. I think our brother Jerome will be taking this as a good outcome in order to implement it wherever. Thanks.
We had a really nice visit yesterday at the Silicon Valley. So addressing the question of how we can, teach our children the language, and also, the question of the census. What kind of role do you think that new technologies, right, can play in order to divulgate and, as a conduct, or address these issues?
Yes, I think technology is very important. We have a tool which is called I Speak Bassa 2.0, which is functioning now. So if the parents want really to go through it, they can. But I have to stress on the fact that, the young people, when they touch the culture, they might be really interested in. And what we suggested, and Dr. Mahop even talked about it a few minutes ago, is to try to get the children go back home for at least 1 week, 15 days, and dive into the real culture. Go to Ngoglituba, where we coming from, all of us, we have to make children dream. If you don't have a dream, then you forsake everything. If they can come and see people, and there's another interesting thing, is that if we make those guys, those children, come from all out Europe and United States, most of them just speak English, some speak German, some speak French, and what will be binding is speaking Bassa for that 10 days. And when they come back, they will be interested in coming again to see their children. And I have been involved in a program which was called Reconnection Program, where people of United States came back to Cameroon with their DNA to see where they were coming from. They were not Bassa people. And I think that we can do this with our Bassa community, and I'm sure that the outcome will be very, very interesting.
Yes, that's an amazing idea, because we live in a world of technology now where everything is based on technology. So if we can use technology to bring all the Bassa people together, that would be amazing. To all our techie people out there, applications are being built now that can help assimilate people who have gone a little bit further from the culture and bring them back in. But again, it goes back to that census, which I think it was a really good idea. If we can track each other where we are, we can have a way of bringing people back in, incentive to bringing them back in terms of knowing what our culture is. Because there's some people who will say, why should I go back home? We have this mindset that is we're out here, we want to fit in, and that in order to fit in, we forget where we come from.
So, any question from the audience? We are about the last minute. So, if anyone has a question, please.
Question is, my name is Joseph Baye, and I'm the Los Angeles Bassa Poverty Association president. My question is for Mr. President. Is first of all, what will be or what could be the connection between Mbog Liaa and ADNA project? We heard about the ADNA project, and if yes, what will be or could be the connection between the ADNA project and Mbog Liaa, and if you can tell us a little bit more about that ADNA project, where does it stand right now, and what do we expect from it? Thank you.
Yeah, briefly, thank you for the question. Mbog Liaa is, the meaning is Adna Maten Nimelong, which means that we're gathering together. And the idea of the ADNA project came from Mbog Liaa, and all the partners of ADNA project are young people I know. So I think that there is no opposition about that. And Mbog Liaa is to gather all the means that would lead to an aim, an objective which is common. ADNA project is one among all the projects that are flourishing. Now the problem is to gather them so that we could not go here and there without having any precise goal where we're going. But it was a good project. It was teenagers and a little more that said, okay, you, our fathers, you didn't bring us to our culture, and now we're trying together to have a global project that would dive us into our culture. So it's basically the same thing. Now, what I told them is that ADNA should have a precise goal, because if you don't know where you're going to, well, you won't go anywhere.
And politically speaking, where does it stand right now? Because I heard that we are looking to have a particular area, or something like a region for only for Bassa. Like, yeah, I heard something like that. So can you be more precise?
Yeah, something has been told about having a region, but well, I think that the strong will of being together is not just an administrative decision. We might have an administrative decision if we can't talk together, if we don't have a common goal together, be it political, be it social, be it economic, then the decision would just be, I wouldn't say a nonsense, but wouldn't be as efficient as if we have our mindset to say, okay, we are one people, we have to struggle to stay alive, we will have to struggle to be part of tomorrow's Cameroon, and we have to do everything for that. If we do that, then the region will just be in our mind. We have people, I won't cite them, that are globally strong in this world. I mean, the Jew people, not to call them, they are not all of them in Jerusalem, but wherever you go, you have a strong community, and they are speaking together, they are thinking together, and they are doing things within their community. And if it's money, for instance, the money just stands in there before going out, if they go out. So it's not a question of an administrative or political decision. It's a question of ourselves trying to build a common future.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Last question.
Mbog Bassa, Tonye Jacob, Tonye Jackson, Mura Ambong ang ying jele li bar jes li ken ni besu li ning li ken ni besu ndi toni la kalbes ni le bes di le ngera manyunga mboro yom tele inke ya waso mbole ubong yom hala weri ndi sang ye pola yes le la jo is jo sang I inyule na norgwele ringi story so mbo norle mi longa mi mingwe ngom so namla maba yom yara mi bana pigi yara mi binge homawara jamli bisuli jamli le rinokile nyo ma pepe yes li gwene ya besulu kengi ila gwenyo masibile université ma igwe yom itene he nile Mbolia atibi ang lebis lela anjo sang lensa ake abawara ake nibisu. Merci.
Okay, thank you. So we are actually about to conclude this program. We're going to go back to each panelist to say their last words. So I'm starting with Mr. Nongala. Can you please give us your last words?
Thank you very much. I think the discussion was very interesting. I have some key takeaway from this. The first one is that we need to be together. That's how we can go further, okay? The second one is that we need to commit to teaching our language and valorizing our language to our children. That's the second takeaway. And the third takeaway is that we need to use all the tools, specifically like technology, that is available to us in order to achieve this goal.
Okay. To conclude here, can you, as you conclude, also piggyback on his question, where the university stand for, and also wrap up so that he can at least leave also with a response from the head of Mbog, where all the issues in terms of the university and how our cultural music can be more heardful and how can we listen to it more and raise it and praise it more often.
Okay, well, for the university, it has started with agriculture. It opened last September, I think. So it will be going on. As for the cultural aspects, which is music, there are a lot of groups that are dealing with that. And the problem is the quality of what you sell. Even here, you have a lot of people singing with languages they don't even understand. If the music is a good one, and we have some of you like you, Jackson, those who sing your song are not Bassa people already. So I think that just to finish, I have to say that our problem is an individual problem. So that every one of us should take it as a cornerstone of his own behavior, everyday behavior, and then maybe tomorrow will be a shining morning for the Bassa culture.
So basically we are wrapping up, and what we would like is you to give us your last thought in terms of what kind of action item, like 2 or 3 action items that you are recommending us to go away from this meeting.
Well, I will just be repeating what you said, and that is that the first thing is for ourselves to take action. And action means really in our houses, in our homes, speaking our language or trying to speak it, because we speak it approximately, but we can make an effort to try to put in our language when we speak some foreign languages like English or French. Now the second one is, if at all possible, don't stay silent. Let us organize ourselves, even if it is at a small level, to make sure that the young kids we know in Bassa families are given the opportunity to know about where we come from, to be interested in what we are doing, and therefore to be interested in learning our language. And then in our villages, in our towns in Cameroon, where we can do it, in our villages and towns, we can organize Bassa languages, Bassa classes, especially during vacations, where the parents who are willing, who will be motivated to do it, will support the teaching of this important language, the Bassa, to our children by, supporting the cost that goes with it. And I would expect that a group of people who want to do it could actually write request grants from associations, from organizations such as Mbog Liaa, because people should be contributing to Mbog Liaa, and we should have a way of raising money, especially for the sake of teaching and promoting the language of Bassa, because without this language, without a Bassa language, our culture will not be promoted, and therefore we will just be extinct in a few 75 years. So let's not stay, without doing anything. Let us talk about it in meetings and do something to show that we are interested and want to be part of people who promote our culture.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Crepin. And
thank you
to all the panelists. Thank you for your participation and for contributing to such a rich topic. And I'm sure that the discussion will continue outside of this studio. So just to remind you, we were talking about the important topic of how culture can help to build bridges to understand who we are in order to contribute effectively to the development of our communities and our nation.
Good job.
Good job. Yeah. Thank you.